Alright guys, here goes nothing. I'm going to try my best to explain and analyze Bela Fleck's second solo on the dear old Dixie that 81 Crow filmed Backstage somewhere. This is definitely one of the hardest things that I've tried to explain yet. I've played a lot of this stuff. I explained a little bit, so a lot of it I'm going to be pushing myself linguistically. I'm going to be using a lot more music theory, a lot more chord structure, a lot more scales. So I don't want to intimidate anybody, but I just kind of want to be clear that this is not easy at all, and it's not easy to understand. And even me trying to take a look at this, it's exceptionally difficult. And I don't know how Bela thinks about this stuff. I really don't know, but I can't. It's definitely all improvised. So that being said, if you want to hang out, please feel welcome. Don't be scared. It's all safe here. I'm going to put the tablature on my Patreon along with a slow version of the song because this thing's blazing at like 160 beats per minute. It's really fast and really difficult. But hopefully my explanation will make a little more sense. And get everything on Patreon. And let's go into it by first listening to Bela Fleck doing it full speed. Here we go. Okay, that's very challenging. Here is I'll play it slowly for you guys. This is what I have. Hopefully I can get it. Let's see. So that is what I have tabbed out. The tab that I'm going to show you is going to be kind of confusing, and I seriously doubt this is how Bela Fleck thinks, but I guess it's more appropriate to say this is generally how I interpret Bela Fleck, and this is how I have transcribed the solo. Maybe that's a little more fair. So let's take a look at this puppy. Here we have the solo. Okay, cool. So this is going to have a lot of pieces. First of all, let's talk about the first phrase. Okay, so that is up to here. Let's analyze this. That is this lick. What that thing basically is, so what I have written in is an alpha G6, gamma G6, alpha G7, beta G7. If you guys have been paying attention to me, this is not normal music theory nomenclature. I just prefer it because it identifies the specific inversion on the banjo. So when I say, okay, let's take a look at this one. Up to here, that's basically an alpha G6 lick. I actually learned this at Bela Fleck's band, like the Blue Ridge Banjo Camp. It was like 2018, 2019 I was there. Holler to all my Mohoganies out there. That was the class I was in, and we played like a 3-part Roanoke that had this lick in it. And we learned it in 3-part harmony. But that's neither here nor there. But what I'm trying to get at here is this phrase, it's a roll. It's, what is basically the roll? I mean, if you look at it like this, it's, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But it's displaced. It comes in on basically like the end of like 1, 2, 3, 4, but da. So Bela Fleck, he's displacing this. Harmonically speaking, I'm calling this an alpha G because it's out of this alpha shape. And then I'm calling this a gamma G6 because it's out of the gamma shape, the bar chord. But we're throwing the 6th right there. This one It's an alpha G with the 6th on the 5th string. The gamma G has the 6th on the 1st string. A little bit of roll analysis. What is this? It's a 6-note thumb forward roll. It's actually 1, 2, 3. If we look at the forward rolls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thumb, 1, thumb. So it's best to do this one as thumb 1, 2, thumb 1, 2, and then thumb 1. So how many notes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's an 8-note roll. You got 2 thumb forwards and then a thumb 1. So thumb 1, 2, thumb 1, 2, thumb 1, thumb 1, 2, thumb 1, 2, thumb 1. That is the 8-note phrase. And if you can memorize that roll, then what we can start to do is add chords to that roll. And what I'll see, and this is, like I'm saying, this is analysis of what Bela Fleck did, but there's a lot you can do with this roll thinking about chord shapes. In this case, we're going to go from an alpha G6 to a G6 down here, the lower inversion G6, which is gamma G6. Okay, cool. The next thing that he's going to do, we're going to continue this roll, and now the chords we got alpha G7 and beta G7. So that means we're going to stick in this alpha shape, but now we're actually going to add a G7 instead of a G6. Still doing the same roll. Thumb 1, 2, thumb 1, 2, thumb 1. Thumb 1, 2, thumb 1, 2, thumb 1. So that's alpha G7. As opposed to alpha G6. The note only changes on the 5th string in this case. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go up to a beta G7. And this is a strange one that I actually have never seen before. But the idea is, if you have your beta shape like this guy, move it up the octave, turn it into a 7th chord, then you have those 2 notes right there, and then you throw your index finger on the 5th string and do that same roll. Again, I've never played this before this solo. I just found out that sweet little G7. So now he's switching from like the alpha G7 to the beta G7, the first inversion G7 to the second inversion G7. So he's going he's playing 2 inversions of G6, and then 2 inversions of G7. Okay, cool. So that is the first few measures. I hope that was easy to listen to. This is going to be a lot to explain. Okay, cool. So now we have the descending lick. And that lick is basically just going like this. Okay, so what is happening here? I wrote in a bunch of chords. We got C, B flat, A minor, G minor, F, E minor, D minor, A flat, G, G flat, A minor, or F. How I'm going to analyze this. Let's see, how can I explain this? When I play it, when I'm transcribing Bela Fleck, I think he's on like a G chord or a C chord there. So when I try to figure out what notes he's doing, I'm gonna assume he's gonna be doing some bluesy scales, kind of like a C7 scale. In this case, if you guys have been watching all my stuff, you'll understand like the concept of diatonic double stops up and down the neck. I've only released videos of them in G, but what Bela Fleck's doing here is essentially a double stop scale that's entirely in F, and F is the same key as C7, and if you put that over G, you'll find you find F notes, B flat notes, which gives G a very minor kind of sound. Not necessarily flat 5. Well, I don't know. Let's think about this. So we got C, B flat, A minor, G minor, F, C, and then D minor. Or C, yeah. These are compound chords. Basically, all I want to do is I want to show you like the note that's in the root on the top there. So these are all like alpha inversions. So from that C, B flat, A minor, G minor, F. Again, it's best to understand that as like an F scale. And I think harmonically, what's going on here is Bela Fleck is putting an F scale over a G scale, and it kind of makes like a parallel key. That kind of makes like a minor kind of sound. The C7 over G. So it's a very kind of like minor bluesy sound in the key of G. He's borrowing sounds from a different key and putting them on top of this one. I think that's a good way to put it. At least that's how it makes sense to me. I'm not like a standard like jazz music theory teacher. Harmony is definitely difficult for me, but this is what I think it is. I think it's like an F scale, just descending. Another thing to note here is it's entirely middle reverse rolls. It's all 2, 1 thumb, 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 all the way down. So this phrase, all middle reverse. Okay, and then when we get to measure 5, this thing, that's when he's not really playing the scale anymore. He's going more chromatically from here. I'm saying A minor or F because that to me looks like an A minor, but going chromatically, you can label that as an F, and that's legit. But he basically switched from, this is a diatonic kind of like F scale first rolls. This is a it's kind of moving chromatically there. And the goal is, and I think why he did it that length is because on the downbeat he lands on this thing. And what happens here, and this is actually kind of interesting because if you look at this roll, I mean for me that looks like an alternate middle roll. It looks like 2 1 2 thumb, 2 1 2 thumb. And in my mind when I first transcribed it, it was 2 1 2 thumb. But then I watched the video of him doing it, and I found out that it's entirely 2 thumb, 2 thumb, 2 thumb, 2 thumb, 2 thumb. He's only doing 2 thumb, 2 thumb, 2 thumb. Check this out. Where is that part? Is it right here? Right here. He's not using his index finger. Okay, cool. So that being said, what is the scale that's happening here? Okay, cool. So this first shape is going to be I'm saying alpha G here because it has to do with this measure. He's basically kind of be doing like the same thing. He goes G, G flat, G on measure 6. On measure 7, again, he goes G, G flat, G. The difference is the measure 6 has alpha G, G flat, G. Measure 7 has beta G, G flat, G. And what that sounds like is this. And then, and that it's just the flavor, and it's actually something that's very useful for banjo players to do the same thing in one inversion and then repeat that same thing in the higher inversion or lower inversion. And Bela Fleck does a good job of it. And then how you connect it to the next one. In this case, he did like an A minor. He went up. And then he hits this kind of A flat. He's moving chromatically up to this guy. Now he's going to A, and that's actually the 2-5 of the chord progression of Dear Old Dixie. And then he does the same thing. He goes A flat, A, and then he adds a tension. And then we go to D. That tension is a flat 13, otherwise known as a sharp 5 or a flat 6. I put flat 13 because I think it's more appropriate for jazz players. Again, I'm not really a jazz player. At Berkeley, I think they would write flat 13. That's how they taught me there. But in my mind, I consider it a sharp 5. 13 because there's no 12 in a chord. You know what I mean? I build my triads 1, 3, and 5. And then I should write sharp 5, but I think this is more widely known. But for me, sharp 5, flat 13, they're kind of like the same thing. I'm trying to train myself to understand flat 13. So I'm sharing that with you guys. Okay, and next we go, and then this is where the band stops, and you play this lick. And that's, again, just following the roll. I wrote out the chords D, E minor, D, A minor. I mean, again, this could be seen as an alpha D. This can be seen as a beta D. And then A minor, and then E minor, or A minor. And then we get into this whole section. This whole thing. I'll play that for you. It's, whole thing ends up right about there. So you'll hear the roll pattern. It is displaced, so you're gonna have to feel this one out. But just know that it's a bunch of middle reverse rolls. And then you got this thing. What the hell is it? If you can repeat buka de butaka, if you can repeat this 8-note roll, buka de butaka butepo. If you can repeat that 8-note roll, it looks like it's a thumb reverse following through. It's like a thumb reverse and then like an alternate index. That's a good way to think about it. Thumb reverse and then like a middle, a 2-1 alt 1. That's one way to think about it. The other way to think about it is it's a 7-note thumb reverse and then you end on the index. That's another way to think about it. You want to get it into your feel though. Analyzing is one way to do it. 7-note thumb reverse, end on the index. If you analyze it as 2 4-note rolls, you got this one, which is thumb reverse, and then you have an alternate index roll that starts on the middle finger. So that's 2-1 alt 1. Put them together, and you can feel the difference. What happens? The downbeat on this roll is on the thumb, and the downbeat on this roll is on the middle finger. So that should give you the feel for how to thumb, middle, thumb, middle. Okay, so that being said, let's talk a little bit about these chord shapes, because the chords that I have written here are not the chords to the song, like, at all. But this is just how I understand the harmony that Bela Fleck is doing, and it's kind of strange. So what he lands in, it's on a G chord. I guess I wrote that G chord in because he's on a G chord. What he's playing there, to me, it's a B flat, flat 13, or a B flat, flat 6, a B flat, sharp 5. They're all enharmonically equivalent. But this, it's like, if you take your beta shape like that, and where the 5th note is, the 5th degree of the scale, flat that a half step, and you get this really nasty sound. And this is over G. B flat is the minor third of G, so you're playing a minor third with a flat 5. And it, again, it's a good way to see this. It's like polyharmony. I don't really know how else to explain it, but he's playing in G. He's playing over a G chord, and he throws a B flat, flat 13 to add a lot of tension. Now this is the chord right here. You do this same thing up the octave, and you get it right here. But it's going to make more sense if we work them down here, just kind of understand it here. You have a B flat, flat 13. The next chord I have written in is a beta G7. And you see what happens. The middle finger pivots off that D note. That D note stays the same, but you move these tritone, that tritone up. Okay, cool. So that's going from the B flat, flat 13 to beta G7. The next thing that happens is this C9. It's like you have that right there. It's like on the 5th fret and the 10th fret, and then your middle finger on the D. So it's like a C9. And this is all going to occur up the octave. I just want to illustrate it somewhere in more familiar territory. And then after that C9, he lands back on the B flat, flat 13, and then goes to an A flat 13, which is it's just this chord down a half step. So once you have that going on, you put those puppies up the octave, and just forget the roll, but this is the sound. That's bit, and then. So you want to train yourself to like say, okay, B flat, flat 13, G7, beta G7, and then C9, back to B flat 13, and then A flat 13. So, and then you add the roll to it, and that's kind of the last part. So, starting from basically like, yeah, we can start kind of from there. Okay, so that's basically it. It'll be interesting for you to note where the shifts happen. You see that 17 switches to 18 right there. That's important to note because you can hear it in the roll. So and also this roll is displaced. So to loop it, you gotta listen because Bela Fleck, he just displaces things and it sounds so tense. It's very difficult to be able to like understand everything that's going on here. I'm trying my best to explain it. Hopefully this is making sense. Okay, cool. So now we ended on this B7 right here. This lick shouldn't be, I mean, of all like the fucking difficult things we're doing, this one should be kind of familiar. That's kind of like a standard like up the neck kind of B7 chord. That's kind of like, I mean, I don't know if you know that lick. This is it's a forebearing of what's to come. It's a mention of what's to come. There's a saying for that. But yeah, that's a lick. I mean, it's kind of like you'll see. But on that is a B7. It's a gamma B7 for what it's worth. But now what we're gonna do is this nasty lick, and this one it's let me just play it for you. It sounds like this. So what that is, those are quintuplets. Well, they're not quintuplets, but it's a 5-note roll. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, this is just to add a lot of rhythmic tension. And 5s over 4 are very tense. The roll, if you know this lick, it's that roll. And that's where is, I mean, you can see the functional unit. That is it. That's a 5-note roll. It's, yeah. 2 thumb, and then middle reverse. 2 thumb, middle reverse. Except the middle reverse is on the inside strings. But it's basically that. But what he's doing, the chords that he's doing it over, again, it's up to you to kind of figure out why. See, I mean, he's probably doing it just because it fits. I don't know how Bela thinks. I really don't. But this stuff is very complicated. But here we go. We got C major 7, C minor 7, B minor 7. Move that minor 7 shape down a half step, and then G major 7. If you'll notice the difference between B minor 7 and G major 7, it's only a single note. It's just that 19 changing to the 17. And then we end on that E note, which anticipates the E chord, and then we have the last lick. And this one sounds like this. Seems like it's a normal melodic lick, right? It's not. Because I wrote this in, there's like a little shift right there. You can see Bela Fleck, I thought it was a mistake, but it's not. You can see it's like, and right here, he shifts at an awkward place. Where is it? He shifts at an awkward place. That, right there. That. Because it's a very awkward lick. I don't know exactly. I've never seen a lick like, I mean, it's similar, but the way the variation of it is strange. But anyways, this part, it's actually the same roll as this. It's that same roll. And that's up to here. That's that much. That's kind of like C, C minor, and then to G. And with that same roll from the beginning. Okay, cool. Now we have this thing. I wrote in the V because it shifts right there. You can go, so that, and then what I basically have highlighted, that's where you shift. That, I mean, if you can get it up to there, you'll kind of be good. As long as you shift from like playing both on the 12th and 12th fret to the 11th and 10th fret. And you shift where I have that little V marked right there, and you should be able to get it. It's a very strange lick, so don't be discouraged. So we got... And then that, I mean, that's, if you've gotten this far, this should not be that strange. That's just a straight G melodic scale. And that ends on a Scruggs lick. So I hope you guys like this. I hope that explains it. I hope you're not as confused as I am. But you can support your boy. Sign up for my Patreon. Smack that like button, ring that bell, and hit subscribe for more fly banjo content.